Hey everyone, Stereo Azimuth here, and I'm going to be going over this little cool box here that I built that you can probably build yourself. And it's a nice little DIY project that is a balanced to unbalanced converter using Cinemag transformers. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this box and how you can build your own. So let's go ahead and switch here and take a closer look at what this box is. Now, this box, somebody sent me all the parts for it. They said, here's all the parts I need help, putting it all together. And I said, yeah, fine, I can help out with that. This is no problem. So what it is, and I'll take the light so you can kind of see this aluminum box. It is a Hammond 1444 aluminum box. So Hammond has manufactured a lot of different transformers and enclosures. So they make this enclosure box. It's a 1444 is the series, and it's just this kind of thin aluminum, but very sturdy aluminum enclosures. So I really like them because they have a kind of a cool look to them. Very industrious, sort of industrial type look to them, and this is the way they mount. Now you have to buy, the way that Hammond has everything is these come in different sizes, but you have to buy this. You can use this part as the lid or as the bottom, but they make the same bottom piece, but they make different how different tall lengths, so you can get different, but it's the same bottom piece. So you have to buy everything sort of piecemeal or sort of a la carte with the enclosures, because you have to buy the box, and then you get the matching foot piece or lid piece, and then you even have to buy the mounting screw pieces to go with the screws. And I'll put a link in the description where you can get some more information about the Hammond boxes, about these particular boxes if you want to use them for any of your type projects, and because I think that they're great and completely versatile. They're really easy to drill into and to mount, and they're still very sturdy enough to where it's gonna stand up to different to all different types of things. It's not real flimsy material, very sturdy, and it's aluminum, so you can even if you can even sand them and paint them with some aluminum primer and stuff like that if you want to be more decorative with it, those paints that they use for the enamel paints that they use for those cool coffee mugs and stuff like that if you want. So anyway, but getting back to the box itself, so these three are for the transformer itself, and then these four holes were already drilled for the feet. You just have to get the correct screws to mount it, and then I put on the four rubber feet. And let's take a look at the inside. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too is that the way this is wired is that this is the right side and this is the left side. So what I did to drill all of the connections is that the reason I did the right on this side is because it's going to be in the back of a unit. So the right I want it on the right side, and the white the left on the left side, because this is actually the front. This right here would be the front of the unit, and this is technically the back of the unit. These V-Borg connectors, these are really high quality XLR connectors if you can get them, but not really necessary, but they look really cool, and just something that the customer wanted. So we're going to open this up and take a look at it right quick and see what's all in it, see what makes it tick. So basically the way that it's wired is each transformer has its own separate wiring. The yellow is your the main output for the unbalanced, and I say output, but 600 series you can use back and forth. Like it can go from unbalanced to balanced connection if you like. And then this right here, the black and orange are the common ground, because the black is the shield for the transformer, the orange is the signal negative. So, and then that is isolated, the shield and everything is isolated from this side, which is red goes to pin 2, which is hot. And then brown goes to pin 3, or the neutral. And then you have the white wire for this, goes to the to the chassis ground. So that is connected to the shield there, and that goes to the ground to the actual XLR connector. So and then that is connected to this whole entire box. Now you can use, some people do tie pin 1 and the ground, the chassis ground together. I didn't on this particular box because this is a isolated box. It isn't an active box. It's just kind of a source going into the transformer to go to another device. And I didn't want a XLR pin 1 problem. If you don't know what XLR pin 1 problem is, just do a Google search for XLR pin 1 problem and you'll understand the grounding scheme that I'm talking about. But essentially you don't want your ground to introduce voltage. Basically you don't want to charge the grounding up, basically. These transformers, these were also what the customer wanted there, the Cinemag CMLI-600/600C. So they have, like, Cinemag makes 4 or 5 different types of line input and output, like balanced to unbalanced converters. You can go to their website. I'll have a link in the description to the line output converters and the wiring schemes and stuff like that they use. You can look up each individual one. I'm not going to comment on the flavor or the sound of them all. I do know that this particular one, you're really supposed to have a 15K resistor between the hot and the ground or the neutral of the unbalanced connector. The customer did not want that on this particular box. He does not want the signal to be cut down on the balanced output. So if 4 volts comes in on the balanced in, he wants 4 volts output here, not 2 volts output. So that was his particular choice. But you can do, you can wire it exactly how Cinemag wants you to wire it with the resistors and stuff like that, and that's probably recommended. So all your levels stay the same for unbalanced and balanced. But either which way, it'd be easy to hook up a resistor between those two. But still, and these wires from the Cinemag are always a lot longer than what you really need. So if you're using Cinemag, cut them down. Don't use the whole wire if you don't need the whole wire. You can see here, I can get this box completely open to the side and still have plenty of room to work and not be bothered, with the link. And I really cut about half of the wiring, off. So yeah, don't use the whole wiring unless you really need the whole wiring. Don't be afraid to cut them. The mounting, let's talk about the mounting real quick, because I think this is really cool. So this particular box, these particular Cinemag transformers, like I said, all this stuff was sent to me. The customer sent me the box, sent me the transformers. Cinemag transformers, you can either mount them a couple different ways depending on which one that you buy. The most common one is a bracket. It's kind of like an L bracket, and it sits like this, but then you have this bracket and you have to mount it to the bottom. The problem with that bracket is that the transformer, weighs a lot. There's iron and, copper and magnet core. And so it just it tends to swing and sway on the inside. And eventually that bolt comes loose and eventually that whole thing is swinging on the inside. So, no matter what you do, locking washer, tight enough to screw, it doesn't really matter. I've never really seen a good solution that worked. So what I did in this particular one that he sent has two, and I don't know if you can see, it has two screws on the bottom. And these are 4-40 screws that I can just get 4-40 nuts for and mount it. Now, if I mounted it in the bottom of this particular box, it was going to be too tall. It was going to be about 1/8 of an inch too tall. So I had to come up with some other alternative solution to mount them. And I wanted to mount them kind of like side by side. But then I also saw this. This is actually a conduit bracket. And I've got one here somewhere. And this is a 1-inch bracket. For the 600 series, I might need, you might need they make a 1.25 inch, which is what I should have got, because I had to kind of bend these to make fit. But basically, I just used M6 screws and nuts and locking washers and washer that I got from the hardware store as well. And I just used those to mount the conduit like bracket. And I had to mount them at a 45-degree angle because if I mounted them side by side, they wouldn't fit in the box altogether. They would not, like this bracket would come out to here and too much to the side, and then I would be over the lip of the box. So I decided to put them at a 45-degree angle, and then you only need like 3 mounting points, and then everything sort of fits inside very nicely. And so that's another reason why I put the feet on, is that the feet are taller than the mounting screws. Now, could I have used, M4 or 4-40 screws? Well, probably. But, I don't know if they would have, I still would have probably used a big washer on the other side of the bracket, because these have they're made for, M6 screws. That's what they're designed for. And then I just put feet on it, and it worked out, and it still has plenty of room. It's not going to scratch up the desk or anything else. But let's talk about and I'm going to put just a screw on the bottom because I don't want this to come out while I'm showing this next part, and this is the last part I'll show you, is how I marked and how I mounted everything in the top, or what I call the top, with all of the connections, all of the connectors. All right, let's put 2 on, save time. So this right here, so how I did this, and this is the last thing that I'll show you. This is really cool if you do a lot of boxes, if you use make a lot of your stuff, I'll show you. This tool is what you really need to have, this marking tool, and this really helps you mark where you're going to drill your holes. So what I did to measure this is that I measured, the width, and I measure my height. So, and then, you find your center line, and then basically what I did is okay, this is going to be one side of the box, and this is going to be the other side of the box. So, and basically you just divide it up into, 4 points. So you find a center point, find a center point, find a center point, find a center point, because they're going to be spaced out enough of this box that I can get them. So, and what I did once I found that point, I marked it with, you can mark it with a pen or pencil or whatever. But then after that, when you go to drill, if you want to be very sort of exact and be able to really see it, because sometimes when I mark with a marker, and I even got one of these markers. I mean, this is a Milwaukee marker, right? This Ingersoll thing. But even that will wipe off, because it's basically just a Sharpie type of pen. But you can use this to mark it. Okay, so if you don't have one of these marker tools, I would say go get one. And what they do is they have a little fine tip here, and it's spring loaded, And then, but the spring, once it goes all the way down, and then it pops out, like the spring lets go, and what it does is it forces a little indentation into the piece of metal. And I have, for demonstration purposes, a piece of metal that I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is a lid of a box I'm not going to use anymore. It's a cheap box. This is really like very thin, rinky aluminum. This is not the same. This is thinner than the Hammond box I have down there. But this will show you what I'm talking about. So say that I want to make, and I'm going to move the camera down a little bit. Say I want to make a mark anywhere over here. So what I do is I take my little marker, and I'm going to have to move away from the camera so you can see. And I'm going to press down and keep pressing till finally you hear a little pop, and then you have an indentation. Now this one indented like a crazy amount because this is some like very thin piece of metal, right? But on thicker pieces of metal, it will not show that much. I also did it on this piece. This is a power supply, and that is also, I did the same marking here. That's a power like this is a very thick piece of steel, and that's the kind of mark that you get. And if you want to know the size, I mean, that's probably only about 1 millimeter width there. Very, very small, but still very, very visible when you want to go and it's time to, screw, put the, use your drill and drill into, the box to make your, to drill out, the holes for this. Now, most companies like Neutrik and even the RCAs, like the data sheets will show you like the size opening that you need to cut out. And what I usually do is I like I said, I mark the marking to drill the actual hole, but then to drill the screw holes, I usually just use the actual like connector itself, and then I'll use that punch tool. I'll hold it in, and you can even, it's even better if you tape it in, and then you could use the punch tool to come in that hole and punch out, where exactly you want those holes. And then once you drill, your hole, then you've got it in there. And then also I suggest, like, when you mark it, say for this particular, because this is such a big hole, what I usually do is I usually use the marker, and then I usually use like a 3 millimeter drill bit or something like that to drill out the hole so I can actually start it, and then that hole's not going to move. So once I go up in my higher size bit, in my graduated bits, to get up to the size that I need, because that's what you're going to need to do to cut out this hole if you don't have a CNC machine, is you use a graduated bit set, and to get up to the size. And once you get up to the, so therefore my graduated bit set like starts in, and it's real smooth and clean after that. And like I said, this box, just like my graduated bit set, just cut through it like butter. Was so easy to work with, and it's still a very sturdy box. Really, really cool. I'm really, really proud of this this build. So yeah. So hopefully you guys can if you want to build your own, as well. I may, do one from start to finish if that is what you want, and show you each of the different steps in the process of building it, because I think that it's still really, really neat. So just wanted to show you that. This video is a lot longer than what I had hoped. I was just going to just show you that, but just too excited. So I'm Stereo Azimuth. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.